One of my pet peeves is when people like hijack a conversation. Like you and I, what are we doing? I mean, yeah, it's podcast. It's a little, there's cameras and there's microphones or whatever, but still, it's just a conversation. And what are we doing? It's like kind of ping pong. Like you talk, I talk. If you cut, but you get these conversation hijackers that like will swoop in and you're there and it's like, do you even need me for this conversation right now? But I have an experience in this past week. I've always been really bad at handling it, but I actually think I did a decent job. I was at the doctor's with my son and my wife, and the doctor, like, she's just came in. She seemed very rushed and frazzled. Like, I imagine that the pressure that they're under to kind of churn and burn all these people, like appointments every half hour, and the more you do, whatever. But she had a tendency to cut me off and cut off Emily, my wife. And once I picked up on it, I'm like, stand your ground, stand your ground, stand your ground. And it's one thing if like both people go to talk at the same time, but I was like mid sentence and then she just went to bulldoze. And so I just kept going. And I wasn't finished. I was talking, and you could see that she's not used to that. And for me, that is a huge win. Like I will avoid confrontation until like whenever, but and it felt good. And then it rented a little space in my head. I'm like, okay, that was uncomfortable, but it's better than the alternative. Because if I would have just let her bulldoze me, then A, I would have forgotten what I was going to say, and B, I would have resented her more than I can, care to admit. So, but yeah, conversation hijacking and being bulldozed mid-sentence, top 10 pet peeve.
Dude, I'm glad you said that. And I think that podcasting for as long as E and I have been doing it now has made me become a way better conversationalist. And I think the problem with a lot of people is they're not listening, they're waiting to talk. So like they're not retaining anything that's coming in. So like that lady probably wasn't even paying attention to what you were saying. She just knew she had something in her head that she wanted to get out and didn't even give you the respect to finish what you had to say first. And that's a hard skill to like really learn and put into effect in your life. So I'm glad you brought that up because that is definitely a big one. And I have a couple of friends that are like, it'll wear on you by the end of the day. When if you've hung out with someone like that, like for an extended period of time, by the time you get home, you're like exhausted. You're like, dude. Yeah. Oh. And especially happens now that I'm sober around people that have been drinking.
Bro. Yeah, you got to have an out. That's what I've learned. You got to have an out if you're going out to drinking situations. Like there's a point in time where it's a lot of fun because people who are 4, 5, 6 drinks in are fun. They're fun. They're loose. But then it becomes a point where like, you don't even need to be there anymore because they'll be having the same conversation with a wall as they will with you. So it's just
you look dead in the eyes, bro. I can see through them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I'm guilty when I was back in my drinking days.